Former Home Secretary Suella Braverman has accused the Prime Minister of betraying the nation in a scathing letter following her sacking in yesterday's cabinet reshuffle. In the letter posted on social media, Braverman accuses Sunak of manifestly and repeatedly failing to deliver on key policies, and his distinctive style of government means he is incapable of doing so. She goes on to claim that despite having no mandate to govern, either from the Conservative Party or the wider electorate, she chose to serve in his government because of assurances the Prime Minister personally made to her on key issues. Now, one of those key issues, she said, was to stop the small boats crossing the Channel. And she says that Sunak's inability to deliver that promise means he has betrayed her and the British people. Well, despite the political upheaval sacking Braverman has caused, Sunak wanted to portray the government as business as usual this morning, telling his top team, let's get to work at their first cabinet meeting. Well, we knew it was going to be ugly, but I didn't realise that Suella Braverman's departure from government would get this ugly this quickly. Reading through the letter, which is very, very long, and we've all read a lot of ministerial resignation letters in the past. We know that normally it's with the greatest respect and all the sort of couching it in politeness. Well, there ain't no politeness in this letter. It is volley after volley after volley. I think personally the most interesting bit of this letter is where she goes on to say, if we lose the Rwanda case tomorrow, this is just to remind people that the government's Rwanda policy, Suella Braverman's key policy, the one she said that she's dreaming of the moment where she can put immigrant or put asylum seekers on a plane to Rwanda. If the Supreme Court, which we know is going to give its verdict tomorrow at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, if the government loses that appeal and therefore the judges reject that and say that that's not a safe policy, then Rishi Sunak is doomed. And then she goes on to say, but if he wins that case, he's also doomed because he's put compromises in the legislation. So what she's doing is saying, no matter what you, Rishi Sunak, do, you've messed it all up already. The only hope to get immigration sorted is for the Conservative Party to elect me after the general election.
Immigration is just one of the things he's messed up and hasn't completed on. I don't like Suella Braverman, Cruella, as I call her, but the facts of what she's saying here are correct. He has failed on everything. He made promises. He hasn't been able to complete them. So I don't like her. The public, 70% of the public polled say that she was right to be sacked, which is fine. She was right to be sacked. But everything she said in her letter is the truth. She's speaking the truth for once.
You see, I disagree. I think what she's saying, in terms of whatever they agreed, but I think what we're seeing is a vile, self-surfing, petulant individual that, frankly, he's absolutely right to fire. If she's going to behave like this in public, with this sort of letter, in a very sort of almost rudimentary sort of, it's almost like a school debate kind of way, to try and sort of denigrate the individual who is Prime Minister, it shows a complete and utter lack of respect. And in particular, what I would say is, fine, whatever they agreed, they agreed. But I think there are two issues I have here. First of all, her belief about some of the policies that she was putting in place, whether it be Rwanda, that I know that we'll talk about later, but whether it be about that and the effectiveness, or indeed what she's actually achieved, that she talks about all these things that she said she's done. She says, I led a programme on reform, antisocial behaviour. I haven't seen a reduction in that. Police dismissals and standards. I haven't seen much change in that. Serious sexual offences. I haven't seen much combating in that. I haven't seen a change in how many...
Police dismissal has changed. I think that's more down to Rowley leading that rather than the Home Office.
It's not the Metropolitan Police,
she's
not the wider policing in the UK. I think that you're right, she is throwing a tantrum. But the main issues that I have with that letter is there's no mention of her own shortcomings. She sees this all as Rishi Sunak's problem. The reality is she did make very clumsy statements because she's a terrible politician. And we could all see this from a mile away. To call homelessness a lifestyle choice is clearly a terrible politician. Move for a politician. Listen, even if you agree with a lot of what Suella Braverman says, which as a Conservative voter, you would be naturally inclined to. You need to understand that politics is about bringing people on the journey with you. You cannot agree with someone if that person manages to alienate half the country. So in that respect, she is a very poor politician. But also, she's in the grips of a delusion, right? She said in her letter, it is generally agreed that my support was a pivotal factor in winning the leadership contest and thus enabling you to become Prime Minister. One, she came 5th in the leadership contest. So if she was so popular, she would have done a lot better. Secondly, Rishi Sunak came into power, as we all remember, because of Liz Truss's mess up last year, not having anything to do with Suella Braverman. So she has a very high opinion of herself. And guess what? She doesn't have a lot to back that up because her record has been less than impressive.
Can you imagine living next door to Suella Braverman and having a row over parking or something? You wouldn't get on the wrong side of this person. I think actually James is right. No politician would have written this letter 20 years ago. You wouldn't have seen anything so undignified as this. You don't do this kind of stuff in public. She's royally racked off because she got sacked. It's as simple as that. That fourth paragraph down, as you know, I accepted your offer to serve as Home Secretary on certain conditions, despite you having been rejected by the majority of the party. But what's the point in saying that? You know, lots of people...
But so was she.
So was she, spectacularly. Liz Truss, various others came in on similar tickets.
I mean, all of them have been rejected. None of them were elected. Boris Johnson was elected, and he got himself out of
Fair,
office.
but
Come on, but.
when it comes
Come on,
down
defender,
to
come on, Jake.
someone needs to be honest. Your plan is not working. We've endured record election defeats. Your resets have failed, and we are running out of time. Correct. You cannot say for Sunak now for Suella that this is undignified. Sunak had her in his office because she was undignified, because she was blunt, because she spoke to a certain part of the country who he couldn't speak to.
Act in haste,
and now,
repent in leisure.
Yeah,
That's what's happened.
Fine, but now she has turned on him. She is doing to him what he was having her do to everyone else. This is completely expected, and he shouldn't be surprised by it. And I repeat again, the things that she's saying that he has fouled on, she's completely right about.
But what we all know, this is much more to do with the future of the Conservative Party and who's going to lead it post-election than actually it is about immigration. I'm afraid that it now seems obvious to me that immigration policy is just her way of getting what she wants, which is the leadership of the Conservative Party, by using immigration policy and by setting her stall 100% on, I'm going to be the woman who's going to stop the boats, and because I'm not the woman who stopped the boats, I'm going to be shouting and screaming and saying that Rishi Sunak has failed and I can save the day.
And it's also that kind of thing now that if you're a straight talker, if you're a bit harsh, a bit rude, that is automatically, a great thing. And sometimes it's a useful thing. She was clunky. She dropped quite a lot of clangers. She put her size 6s into it many, many times.
But dealing with anti-Semitism as she did, I'm pleased that somebody was standing up for it. I just was so disappointed with the cack-handed nature in which she dealt it.